Good morning, it's Karen, and this is the start of a series of videos that I have planned to look at some of the books that I read in 2021. We're going to look at some books that I absolutely love. We're going to look at some books that I wasn't so happy with. And we're going to kick this all off with a bang, starting with my top 5 of the year. These are books that are going to stick with me. I probably would love to revisit at some point in the next 30 years or whatever. And we're just going to go straight in. The first one being a book that I don't actually own, but it's got a special place in my heart. It is one of my favorite composers to talk about. And if you didn't already guess, yes, it was a Musetta Book Club pick. This one was mine. And this is our second time reading this author. It is Mary Sharratt's Illuminations. And Illuminations follows Hildegard von Bingen, who was a nun in the 12th century, and she is prolific. She writes such beautiful music. She was also a botanist, really into plants. She's such a fascinating person, and I already knew I was going to love this, but this became even more tied to my life because when I had my daughter, I was in the hospital for 6 days before they released us. And I began this book while I was there and subsequently finished it over the first few weeks of her life. And if you've never had a child before, the first few weeks are absolutely bonkers. You are sleeping at whatever times, you are just going with the flow, going with the baby, and that was what I was doing, all the while being inspired by this wonderful, amazing woman who she's so inspirational. Anyway, and Mary Sharratt's writing reads, it's so lush. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's complex. She creates characters you love to hate, and you don't always know, like, you want to sympathize with them, but they're really struggling with some of their own issues, and it makes it really tough. And this is one of these ones that, yes, I have my little drawing here, but I absolutely would love to own this book. The next book I read recently, and I talked about recently, and that is A Choir of Lies by Alexandra Rowland. This one I delved a bit more into when I talked about it in my November wrap-up. And if you want to hear a little bit more about that one in there, I go into a little more in depth. But I think the reason why this one's going to stick with me is just the topic that it really explores, and that would be storytelling and the responsibilities of storytellers. As well, I would say the responsibility of the audience as well. So this follows a man called Ilfling, but he is a chant. And chants, they're kind of like a bard. They gather stories and then they share them. And it's not really their job to make up stuff. And he gets into trouble by making up stuff, creating a lie, creating a craze that happens in this town that he's in. And it's kind of like tulip mania, where people were just buying tulip bulbs. Same kind of deal. And so it's that responsibility of a storyteller. Is it their responsibility to be telling the truth and manipulating the public? Or is it up to the audience to be a bit more skeptical in what we're being told? That is what this explores, and this one's going to stick with me. So good. If you have not read this duology, you really need to, just for the sake of the topics that it just delves into. The next book I have is a nonfiction, and this one surprised me. I knew I was going to like it. I didn't know I was going to love it so much, and this is definitely one that I will be rereading, and because of the way that it is written, it is a series of short stories. You can pick it up, read a little section, and then you're done. And that is John Green's The Anthropocene Reviewed. This is the first book I think that I have ever pre-ordered, and I pre-ordered it, and I got my beautiful John Green signature in it, and this was just lovely to pick up, read a section, put down. I took the audiobook out of the library and had John Green himself read to me some of those sections that I absolutely loved the most. I went through. Now he does this thing where he rates. Okay, rewind. The Anthropocene Reviewed is where John Green explores things in life and rates them out of 5 stars. And some of the things are Halley's Comet and Lasso Cave paintings, scratch and sniff stickers, air conditioning, the internet, sunsets, Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. So it's like everything and anything. And of course, in the same vein, I had to rate every single one of his stories, and I have gone back and I have reread all the ones that I rated 5 stars. And this is just so refreshing. And this, I think if you like memoirs, this is something that you're definitely going to love. And it's so short and it's so easy to pick up and put down. It's just a bundle of goodness. Oh my goodness, I cried so much, I laughed so much. It was a good time. The 4th book, I've run 4 already. The 4th book is also a nonfiction, and to no surprise, it is the analysis of Charles Williams novels. This is The Novels of Charles Williams by Thomas Howard. This is literally a book analyzing each and every single one of Charles Williams's books. I have read 5 out of 7 of his novels. I am in the middle of the 6th one. And I only read the analyses of the books that I have read, and I read the foreword. And I felt so emotionally rekindled after reading these. They were profound, and these are analyses. They're just reminding me how much Charles Williams packs into his books. They are profound. They explore a lot of theological topics, as well as just day-to-day life. Things about the human experience that you don't realize until Charles Williams cracks them open wide and explores them in such a raw way. And this just made me revisit all of those emotions again. And this is brilliant. If you're ever finding yourself wanting to read Charles Williams and feeling a little bit intimidated, buy this as a companion, and it will help walk you through each of those novels. And then the last one was the one that took me the longest to get through. This was my goal book of the year. If I didn't read any other books, this was going to be the book that I read. And it surprised me. I didn't realize how much I was going to love it. And that is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. It is a chunk of a book, which is also why it was my challenge book. And I wanted to finish this before I gave birth to my daughter. And my daughter came 5 weeks early. I was 700 pages in. I had 300 pages to go. I had 5 weeks to go. And then there she was. So I had to put this on pause until I think September is either September or August when I finally finished it off. Brilliant. Just, it explores everything in such a way that is so compelling. So compelling. This is the American Civil War with the view from the South side, or the South, what do you call them? There's the Yankees and then there's the Confederates. And it is also not from the viewpoint of soldiers necessarily. It is from the view of the women. And it definitely goes into the traumas that those women experience. And I think that is something obviously close to my heart, but it is something that we, how do I explain this? It's so, experiencing the war from the sides of the soldiers who are there in the battle, that is one way of experiencing it. But the other way of experiencing it is on the flip side, everybody that was left at home and has to pick up the pieces after all the pieces fall apart. Oh my goodness. So it's just about women carrying on, and that obviously really affected me. So this is a top book. That's my top 5 of the year. And I hope you can join me for my next few lists of the books that I've read this year. And I hope we will see you soon. And thank you for clicking on this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like what I'm doing. Comment down below if there's a top book that you absolutely love this year. Anything that made you as emotional as it made me. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon.